Where the hell is Ardy? He used to be here. It's a show.
Tab crashed. I don't know. Firefox doing it now. But the computer hasn't crashed, which is great news. Welcome, everybody, to the CHIT Show. Joining us is our fellow co-host and fellow traveler, Dan the Noodles Man, the Sam the Sham of Wargaming. How's everybody doing tonight?
What I'm smoking tonight is my Honoré de Balzac pipe with some, what the hell is it? Wessex Aged Virginia. Thank you.
Aged Virginia. That's good. So is that the kind that smells good and tastes good, or the kind that smells terrible but tastes good?
Well, smells terrible. I wouldn't be able to tell you. To me, it smells good and it tastes amazing. And there's Virginian cigarettes, so you're going to get that little clean cigarette smell if you've ever smelled a clean cigarette, because it's all chemicals and shite.
Right. Anyway, I have been off the tobacco in all forms for several months now, and I am happy about it. So I was telling Dan before the show, we're going to talk about weird war games tonight, but I was telling Dan, I was giving Dan, trying to bully him into playing World in Flames with us, but I'm not sure he's going to bite on that. Mr. Mark Herman is here. Mark, thanks for stopping by. Not sure who Mike Herman is.
Ah, shit, I forgot Mark's game.
So there you go. There you go. Anyway. All right, so we got a slideshow here, so let's get into the slideshow. Let's see first of all if the slideshow is working tonight. Nope, that's because I had that tab crash. I'll have to share again. Hold on a second.
Tab crash? You pressed tab and you crashed?
No. The browser tab crashed. I'm a little surprised that Firefox does that, because Chrome was doing that. I kind of expected from Chrome. Many other browsers are based on Chromium. So I'm experimenting with new browsers. I may even switch Linux distributions here at some point. We'll see. So anyway, to our first weird war game tonight is Dinosaur Table Battles, designed by Amabel Holland. And I think this did very well. I think this was a big hit for them.
Well, they were always about dinosaurs. Always.
Mary's a huge on dinosaurs.
And I wonder how much they sold of those games, man.
I don't know. But like I said, I don't know what the profit margins look like. From speaking to Amabel, it sounds like they're doing well. But
like, you think 10,000? You think 10,000 games were sold? Is that?
I don't know. That seems like
I have no idea.
That seems like an insane number. That would be a breakout hit for GMT.
Really?
So, Firefox is open source. It works on basically anything. So, oh my God, I saw this movie in the theater when I was a kid. It's not a, well, I didn't like it at the time. The plane looked cool. I went to see it with my dad. It's one of the few movies I went to see with my dad, because my dad was a pilot, so he was into it. I was bored. It's really not a fast moving picture. So, I'm not sure they even particularly pretended to pay any attention to that. Of course, we got Leaping Lemmings here in a super duper tiny screenshot that Dan has kindly provided to us. I really don't know anything about this, to be honest. I remember that there was a Lemmings computer game where I don't know whether you were trying to get the lemmings over the cliff or prevent the lemmings from getting over the cliff or what was going on, but I vaguely remember that.
As a lemming, you're supposed to jump over the cliffs and commit seppuku, but you got to make it before the eagles try to get you, I think.
Okay. That makes complete sense. I think this game, as pictured here, so I threw a couple screenshots in of weird war games, and Dan threw the vast majority of them in. I've owned this, and I've owned and played the original Blackbeard. They both have the same designer. They're both designed by Richard Berg. The first one came out from Avalon Hill in the early 90s, I want to say. This is like a completely different game, and I liked it a lot less. And it sat around at GMT for a long time too. So
I hear the first edition is amazing.
I like it. I do understand why some people didn't like it, because there's really not necessarily a lot of player interaction. But it is a splendid pirate ship simulator. And who doesn't want to play a pirate ship simulator? You know what I'm saying?
Hey, I wanted to ask you something, man.
Sure.
And it's funny, if Mark Herman knows this, was Richard the type of designer, Richard Berg, the type of designer that every game, it was tongue-in-cheek? Something was about it. You know what I'm saying? Like in the big, huge game by SPI where the Italians have to boil water type thing. Does he have that in every single game?
Yeah, it's possible. I've got a lot of Richard Berg games. Another good person to ask would be Meandering Mike, who I believe has a complete collection of all Richard Berg's games, which is a lot of games. And I know this because he got his copy of Dynasty, which is the game that Hollandspiele published, from me, because I had it. I'm like, this is like a 5-player game. I'm never going to get to play this. None of my people who are like into these, into playing multiplayer games are going to be into this. So I traded it to Mike for something, I forget what. So yeah, I mean, there's all kind of little in jokes and asides and stuff like that in various Richard Berg games. And sometimes the commentary and the designer's notes or the historical notes or the scenario notes will be amusing too. No, I am unaware of any such product. This is Dynasty. I don't know if it's a war game or not, but it was a multiplayer game on early Chinese history that Berg did. And it was published by Hollandspiele. And then when Berg passed, then they like had to, after some increment of time, they had to unload the license. So there you go. Era of the Five Dynasties. Looked like a pretty neat game, by the way. But and atypical for people who want to run on about how Berg over-designed everything, because this was not over-designed. And for that matter, I think there's a number of Berg designs that weren't. But if you had asked me in, say, 1995, now I at the time, so I'm like 30, in my 30s at this point, so I'm not a kid anymore. If you had asked me at the time who my favorite wargame designer was, I probably would have stammered a little bit, because I would have said I wasn't really into tracking the designers, right? But I knew who Richard Berg was, and I knew I had a bunch of Richard Berg games. So I'd have told you that my favorite designer was Richard Berg at the time. Yes. Was it psychiatrist? I think this story has gone around so many times, and thanks to the ear, sometimes it's the dentist. But I will assume Mark to be a definitive authority on this particular question, because he couldn't find in the research, he couldn't find some particular brigade leader or something like that. So he just like put his dentist or psychiatrist's last name in there as a classic. Urban Sprawl. I've never played this. It's Chad Jensen design from GMT. I've never played this. Yeah, I mean, in principle, people like city builder type games. I've played city builder video games, and maybe this is like that. I don't know. I do think that
he's got multiple games of this genre.
Well, and a bunch of them are in here, so I'm gonna guess that we're getting to it. There was a Dallas game. Oh, yeah. So Mark actually met the psychiatrist too. So this isn't even a question anymore. So stop telling people it was the dentist. Was there a second Urban Sprawl game, or was this similar to Dominant Species? Because that's another Chad design that I have not played. I feel like I'd probably like Dominant Species, just based on the just on the topic.
Well, I've never played Dominant Species, but I hear it takes about 6 hours to play that game.
I've heard stuff like that too, but sometimes people that say that don't play games that take that long. So I'd still like to try it. And so what, right? I mean, I played, we played Civ, Titan, all those games back in the day. Those all took 6-8 hours.
It's true. It's true.
So
I mean, once you're in, you're in.
Yes, exactly. So moving on from that, we got Grand Prix. Is this not the Jeff Horriger design? I think it isn't.
Yeah. Yes, it is.
This is Jeff too. Okay,
and his wife.
So yeah, Carla passed. I don't know if you heard about this. I'm pretty sure you did, because I'm sure I mentioned it on shows. Carla passed sometime this year, I think. early in the year. So Bill says that Dominant Species is amazing, and it's not that long compared to Wargames. And okay, hey, I'm not going to argue with you. Welcome to Centerville. Who designed this?
Chad Jensen.
Oh, this is Chad too. Yeah, I have no idea. No idea. I didn't pick these folks. I don't know what this is about. Avalon Hill did at least one additional racing game, as I recall. Apocalypse Road. I think just based on the timing of when they announced Apocalypse Road, I kind of feel like it was heavily inspired by Mad Max Fury Road. Not that the Mad Max thing hadn't been around for years prior to that, but then it took so long in GMT's production queue that everybody had cooled off on Mad Max Fury Road by the time this came out.
But
so
I had the fortune of interviewing both of them,
and
I don't think they saw that movie. That's the type of people they.
Oh no,
no, very, very personal, very quiet people.
Yeah, I probably know Jeff and Carla a little better than you do. But I mean, yeah, I mean,
am I right? Am I right?
Yeah, I think you're right, but I wouldn't necessarily make that assumption. But you could possibly be right about them not seeing the movies. I would imagine that they were. In fact, I'd be stunned if Jeff was not aware of Car Wars.
100%.
Yeah, and I would be also stunned if Apocalypse Road here was not a blast to play. To be frank, because Car Wars was back in the day as well. Here's one I've played. Have you looked at this or played it at all, Dan?
Not at all. It was just I'm not a religious guy, so I tend to look away when I see something like that. I just next.
I felt so. I have not only own this, but I have played this, and I'm highly interested in the topic of early Christianity and we are talking after all about the Roman Empire. So I think this is a really good game. It's basically there's some wrinkles to it, but it's basically a States of Siege game about early Christianity. It's just that there's kind of two phases to the game. One, you're in Jesus has been crucified, and you have the apostles, and this is solitaire. The apostles kind of spread out and start spreading the good news. And at some point, then you get threats of barbarians and heresies and the great. I think this doesn't go all the way to the Great Schism, but it might.
Is that the mountaintop?
The mountaintop
where they massacre all the Jews. The Romans.
You're talking about Masada. That's in like 70 AD or something like that.
How far am I off?
I don't know. There were a lot of Jewish revolts, to be fair. That wasn't the only one. So, another one Mike doesn't have is Dillinger, the Midwest Crime Wave. That would be interesting to see. I don't know if I'm going to pay money to run it down.
Mike, you don't have that? I'm on a mission to find it.
There you go. I can understand people taking this position, but I am also not an exceptionally religious individual. But I am nevertheless highly fascinated by religions, and that's why I want, because I do design fantasy settings with elaborate religions. So,
but Molotov teal cockatiel there. No, it doesn't turn me off. I don't pay attention as I'm perusing other games. But the way Ardy just explained it. It's pretty interesting. There's got to be a lot of slaughter happening in here.
I mean, it's a States of Siege game, right? So it's not company level, okay? So, it's all fairly abstracted. But I think this is a really good game. And for somebody that doesn't know a lot about the spread of early Christianity and I just bought a book about this topic, actually, just like today. This is a very good game. So... and my education on my formal education on the subject stopped at about 500 AD. So I didn't get all the way through the Crusades. I had to figure that part out myself.
Okay, so you were in the real corrupt era.
Well, I'm not sure what you mean by that, but no, the early part where we did, the initial, this is when the Gospels started getting written, and this is when Paul was around, and that kind of stuff. We got further than that, but World War Z USA from White Dog Games, a solitaire strategy game by David Kershaw. This is one of those things where I will do exactly what you just said, Dan. I will see zombies and move along.
Yeah, I
Don't need
know.
it. I'm not. I don't find zombies that interesting. That is not a slap against all the zombie fans or Herman. Herm, you know we love you. I'm just not into zombie games.
That's just your
So,
opinion, man. That's
well,
all.
it's not even my opinion. I didn't even express an opinion. I just don't think it's. I just don't find them interesting, and I'm not into that. I can't be into friggin' everything, right? So, Space Corp 2025 to 2300
And
AD.
know something? This one blows my mind a bit
Why
because
is this even on here, though?
it's off the beaten path of a John Butterfield library.
Okay, I will agree that I think this is not necessarily what I or a lot of us wargamers who have enjoyed many of John's games over the years and who are very excited about enjoying On Hill's Highway, which should be out sometime next year, which will be another straight war game. That's not what this is. But I've played Space Corp. I think it's pretty good, and I think that there's a computer version coming.
I've never played it, but just because it's a John Butterfield game, I assume it's fantastic.
It's good. I like Space Corp. I think if you play it, like not even a lot necessarily, but if you play Space Corp on any kind of consistent basis, you really do probably want the expansion too, in my opinion.
And what game is close that he's designed to this? Nothing, huh?
Nothing. So I gotta make sure I'm thinking correctly here. Remember that John was at least one of the people that designed SPI's universe. That was SPI's attempt to do a science fiction RPG back in the days. So it's not like John is unfamiliar with science fiction. I can vouch that he is not. But as far as release designs, I'm not aware of anything John has done that is particularly similar to this. That doesn't mean that it isn't out there. Just means I can't think of it. It is like 10 billion. We were outside at a craft show all day, and I was freezing my ass off. And now I'm in the office here, and I'm absolutely dying. I'm drenched in sweat. So, GMT has done a lot of, what we will say, and I think with some justification, that are games outside of the traditional GMT purview of historical war games. Let's put it that way. And you know what? I'm thinking, having talked to them at SD Hiss last year, it kind of sounds like they're as surprised as anybody at the number of that they've done. I think there were many definitions of weird, Perfidious Albion, and your weird is okay. Same with you, Dad. Your weird is okay.
What the hell is that?
Conjecture games? No, I wouldn't necessarily say that. There's like a whole category of hypothetical games. Here's Dominant Species. Again, I haven't played this, but since it's in its sixth printing, I assume somebody liked it.
So what does that mean? What do you think a printing consists of in terms of numbers? Give me something.
My supposition is that the typical GMT print run is somewhere between 2,000 and 5,000 copies.
Which isn't bad.
Now, I'm not talking about Twilight Struggle or Commands and Colors or potentially Dominant Species. I'm talking, the average game. And it's got to depend on the game, too, right? If they expect it to be a big hit, there's a huge amount of buzz over it. Don't be shocked if they print a fair number of copies of Microverse, for example. Microscape, whatever that's called.
Yeah, Microverse.
Yeah, I think that has a very good chance of being a breakout hit for GMT. Charioteer, this looks neat. We talked about this, it might even have been last week, about how much easier this is to play than, say, Circus Maximus.
Really?
That's what we talked about last week. And I think, and along with, in the context of Circus Minimus, was a redesign for, kind of a Dean's take on based on the kind of game, like how people actually played Circus Maximus, where it's really kind of a fun game. You don't necessarily want a serious historical simulation of chariot racing with physics. So he designed Circus Minimus instead. And Circus Minimus has a couple extra things.
Hey, Ardy, did you ever play Sekigahara, same author as this?
No. I have not. I've heard good things about it, and I do have Granada, which is the similar system, different designer on the Reconquista in Spain. And that looks good. I want to play that at some point.
Isn't that a Compass game?
That's from Compass, yeah. Conquest of Paradise. I think was this one that there was going to be a new edition of that was on P500 and GMT dropped it. Am I remembering that correctly?
I don't know.
I think so. This is a Kevin McPartland game, and I've met Kevin. He's a nice guy. And it's a 4X game. It's a historical 4X game.
Yes.
And it's a lot more historical 4X than to some extent, a 4X game has to be kind of abstract, right? But it's a lot less abstract, I felt, in approach than I haven't played it than say like the old Civilization was. So I actually played 20 minutes of Civ 6, and I probably won't touch it again. I'm just not digging that stuff anymore. It's too made up. You know what I mean? It's not like we're in 7000 BC and I am Abraham Lincoln. I'm not sure I can get past that at this point.
Is it for real? Oh, she was a little girl and a big mommy, and they invited us for supper at their house. Their house. The man was a little man and a big man. And why are there two men, one woman, and a child? In this story, it's totally improvised, as you can tell. Hold on a second. Come on, Ardy, for God's sakes. I don't have enough wind. Oh, man. Yes, I'm smoking my Honoré de Balzac.
All right.
What the hell is going on?
That had a tab crash again, and then it didn't pick the camera up when I went back in. So I'll have to work that out too. It's all going to be good. Let me reshare the screen here. All right. So moving on from Kevin's game, Conquest of Paradise, we got Banish the Snakes, which is about St. Patrick chasing all the snakes out of Ireland. There are some people who objected to this game, I believe, because it was about religious oppression, I guess. I'm not 100% sure I clearly remember that complaint, so I don't really want to give it any additional airtime other than maybe to mention that it happened. Great looking game, I can tell you that. This is another one that I was like, I don't need this. I'm not.
This is GMT, eh?
This is this is GMT. And I saw people playing this at WBC last year too. So Mark, thanks for stopping by. Hopefully, you're still here, so you could hear me say that. Just of Robin Hood by Fred Serval, which was a huge hit for GMT. It sold out almost instantaneously and is also a really attractive game, I will say that. So, it's not like that's the only time this ever happened. I think he's talking about the Ken Burns thing. So, whatever your local Ken Burns outlet would be. The Plum Island Horror, of course, by our good friend Herman Letman, who is a delightful fellow. And this was a big hit for Herman. This sold out almost instantaneously at GMT as well.
So many games. Another game by Herman Letman.
I saw this. There is a game about the Irish potato famine coming from Compass. There's also a game about the Troubles coming from Compass. I actually think that is a more interesting idea than a game about the potato famine. I really, if we were going to do a game on that subject, not to sound callous, but I would have called it "We Have No Potatoes." So, and that's why we're leaving. Justigard says the new Conquest of Paradise is being published by Phalanx. I think that's a good show on Kevin's part. Let me put it that way. So, I understand this. I had my run-in with those folks as well at some point in the past. So, I guess that would be is on PBS. But most of PBS's funding doesn't come from the government anyway. Belinda's Big Bonus, a Belinda Blinked game, based on the novels by Rocky Flintstone, of whom I have not heard, illustrations by Moldy Wood, and designed by Amabel Holland. This is a Hollandspiele game. I don't know anything about this. I missed this entirely.
I saw it on their website, and I'm like, what the hell is this?
Okay, I've never heard of Rocky Flintstone or Belinda. So I don't know anything about this. Game of friendly competition, sexy characters, and the biggest business deals. Play as the newest employee of Steel's Pots and Pans, learning from the best saleswoman in business, Belinda Blumenthal, in hopes of scoring a big bonus, or betray this new Glee team for a payday from the wickedish Herr Wolfgang Bisch. This sounds like it's not my kind of bag either, but if it's fun, then that's enough. I'm not. You've got a lot of Hollandspiele stuff in here. I am certain Amabel would not be here arguing that these are all war games, Dan. I remember this release though, and it's another one of Amabel's very, very outside the box game designs where.
And the world has come to an end again, again, and the world has come to an end again. Everybody dance.
Oh, he's doing it again. I'm going to switch. I'm not switching browsers in mid-show, but I'm going to end up switching browsers. Do you know anything about But Then She Came Back, Dan?
The Banshee game? Have no idea.
Okay, me neither. So I don't know that I have anything particularly interesting to say about it. This might be why, because I didn't. I don't feel like I've heard a lot of the Amabel stuff that's come out lately. City of Six Moons, of course, we've talked about before.
Go.
So this is. I remembered the game. I remembered the concept, but I couldn't remember how many moons there were. There are apparently 6. So this is a game that is sent to us. The conceit is that it is sent to us by aliens, and we do not know how to play it, and we have to figure out the rules from the clues provided in the box. I am not positive that game is even what I would call this, but I also think this is a fascinating and extremely clever idea. So, and Hollandspiele is having a sale right now. So,
but you know what? Imagine an alien civilization getting Voyager 1. This would be it.
Yeah. Now, some people got this thinking that it was going to be a game and opened the box and were confused. And I can understand that too. But I think it's a very clever idea, and I suspect that there's some social commentary motivation behind the design to see just how people would react to this. So, all right. And Doubt is we got the entire Hollandspiele catalog here, folks. Doubt is our product. Another brilliant looking design from Amabel.
I love that art.
Tobacco, disinformation, and profit in the 20th century. I think this would be. I'm not sure this is the kind of game like her other design. I forget what it was called. I'm not sure I'd want to play this more than once, but because it sounds soul crushing. But I would love to play this at least once. So Horse and Musket's supposed to be pretty good too. All right. Meandering Mike says that City of Six Moons is playable once you decipher it. Endurance, a solitaire game of Antarctic survival. This is also sounds real grim, and I'm not sure what my appetite would be for playing this every weekend. But I'd love to try this once. Well, maybe, sometimes you get what you needed out of experiencing it once. Heading forward, a solitaire game about recovering from a traumatic brain injury, designed by Jean Dubois and published by Hollandspiele. The only problem here is that I don't know anything about most of these. So, yes, I believe that is the game where you end up beating the dogs. How's that for a downer? Of Darkness. So this is a Kim Kanger design from Legion Wargames that it was, I think, intended as a spiritual successor to
Avalon Hills.
Source of the Non.
Yeah. And here we are again. Happy, happy, here we are again. Happy, happy, walk the streets this way. Walk the streets that way.
The problem with this, there's 2 problems with this situation. One is that Dan will sing if I disappear for a minute. And the other is that I have to reload the freaking screen share every time, too. So, sorry about the size of screenshots, folks, but that's Panzer Pranks. This I'd be surprised. I am a little surprised myself to say that I have not played. I'm using Firefox. I'm not using Chrome right now. That's kind of the point. I guess the experiment has come to its logical conclusion, however. Yeah, just a little bit. I guess we're talking about weird games. Like I said, I've always used Chrome, and I did have occasionally crash, as people probably saw. But this is crashing a couple times a show, and I'm not satisfied with that. So I've got 3 different browsers installed on this machine, so I'll use something different for the next show, like tomorrow. So not this often. There might be a game about the Donner Party, to be honest, William Bird. All right. God, it's so small. Of course, the game is too. Invasion of the Air Eaters. This was one of the sci-fi micro games and stuff like that. I agree completely. That might have been. Oh, I've played this, actually. Ironclads and Ether Flyers. Aero naval warfare in the 19th century. This was the ship-to-ship game that GDW did for Space 1889, which was dramatically ahead of its time, in my opinion. If that had hit when steampunk was huge, then I think it would have been a better game, or a bigger hit. Let me put it that way. Of course, I wasn't crazy about the system, to be fair. But yeah, we played this at Winterfest as like a side or evening thing. I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago. So it's cool. Oh no, there goes Tokyo. How about that? Who's the designer? I'm not looking this up, Dan. Okay. But I applaud their reference in the title. So, which of course, Dan will realize where that comes from. Professor Sally picked up Rogue Trooper. Yeah, Rogue Trooper. Whenever I hear this, though, I always think of Rogue Trader, which was like a 40K thing. So I can't tell you anything about There Goes Tokyo, other than let's go listen to some Loister Cult. It's good for you. This is what I put in. And I don't really have anything to say about the game because no one does. Believe it or not, however, there was a Japanese edition of this published. This is not it. This is the American version that with normal graphics. And the map in that, there's pictures of the Japanese version on BGG, and the Japanese version looks fine. It looks like a completely normal war game about the invasion of Sicily. I'm not sure who did this cover art, but it's something else. So, you played this thing? Oh my God. There are multiple games about pro wrestling. I can tell you that.
Kerry Anderson. That's the game. What the hell was it there? Oh no, There Goes Tokyo. Kerry
Anderson
and somebody else.
Okay. Elves Under Hoof. Is this a game or is this a random graphic that you sent me?
No, it's a game. He's a DVG. He sells it.
Okay. I am also not into Christmas-themed games. In case you haven't, it really does. Where it really deserves to be is stuck on your refrigerator with a magnet. That's where that cover belongs.
But you know what? DVG is a wargaming company. Maybe there's a lot of slaughteration.
I want to say DVG may have done 1 or 2 things outside the wargaming space, but no more than that, if that. And some of those things, like they did a version of Atlantic Fleet or Atlantic Storm.
Oh yeah.
That some people probably won't call a war game, but I'm like, hey, it's close enough. It's a card game. It's simple. It's easy to play. It's 10 minutes, whatever. So the Time Tripper, of course, a legendary classic by brilliant James Dunnigan, the genius behind SPI. I would probably play this too. And of course, you've got this, and this is another one of those things where it's kind of more than one game in the same box too, in a way, as I recall.
Well, it's same mechanics, different eras.
Yeah.
And you know what the premise? You know what the premise of that game is, eh?
It's like about a soldier in Vietnam who goes through a time portal into various eras, and he's got to get back to. For some reason, he wants to go back to Vietnam. I don't know why.
Yeah, but before he goes to a time portal, I think he drops a hit of acid or something.
I mean, I expect this kind of thing to be trippy, right? This is the kind of thing that you'd think would be trippy. The Sushi Jalapeno War by Xeno Games. I don't know anything about this. It is a war between the U.S. and Japan over Mexico, I guess.
No, I have no idea.
Okay, yeah, I don't know nothing about this. I can't tell you anything. Monsters Menace America, I've at least heard of this. This is, of course, produced by Hasbro, the world's most humanitarian corporation. A game of mayhem and mass destruction. There's a bunch of board games that are this theme, by the way. King of Tokyo is one of them, where it's a giant monster and you're rampaging through a city or something like that. And I assume this is one of those too, along with the legendary forebearer of them all, the creature that ate Sheboygan. I guess Godzilla is probably the real inspiration for this stuff, but I'm not hugely shocked by this, actually. I removed that from the list because I had a hunch that might happen, actually.
I don't even know that game.
Yeah, you do. Oktoberfest, zombie rules for ASL. Somebody get MMP on the phone. Game concept by Glenn Houseman, rules by Glenn Houseman. Eric Safran, Scott Houseman, and Dave Lamb also involved in this thing. Again, I'm not complaining that anybody's into this. I'm not into this. I got enough to deal with playing ASL with the rules. I don't need to worry about zombies too.
I gotta show George Chiotis this, man.
This game, I'm reasonably sure it comes after, because I remember this too. Comes after Creature That Ate Sheboygan, unless I am wrong. Neuschwabenland. This is about like Nazi flying saucers in Antarctica or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, by Tiny Battle Publishing. I think this may have been published a couple of times by different publishers too. I'm not particularly
it's a simple
sure.
game.
Well, I would assume so. It's from Tiny Battle Publishing. It's not like they're the publishers of Case Blue, right? Nuclear Winter. So this is Lock and Load, and I think this is tactical warfare among post-nuclear wastelands. Okay.
I know Stuka Joe doesn't like sci-fi, so he's going to hate this, but I love it.
I like sci-fi. I just don't like post-apocalyptic particularly.
The thing is,
not for games anyway.
The premise here is Himmler went underground, and there was a nuclear war, right? So Himmler went underground and built his army, and the Allies went underground and built their army. But it's a wasteland, and there's a third party in it, and that comes up as a chit pull, because this is a chit pull game, and it's called The Fifth Hand, I think, or The Hand, and they got monsters.
Okay. There are 100% can verify that there are rules for Mind Dogs. Where those rules showed up exactly, I'm not sure I can tell you.
Hold on. Joe said that. Oh, Mind Dogs. Okay, sorry.
I don't remember that. All right, moving on here. This is Weird War 2. This is a role-playing game product, as far as I'm aware, Dan. From Pinnacle. I see a D20 logo on that. This is a bust.
Yeah, Joe. Yeah, Third Reich there by Luca Camisa. I had it. I was gonna put it in, but then I thought I don't know much about it.
Yeah. Ginormo Pod 2050 AD, which is, I think we can agree, a very nice title. Also, this came out. Was this Hollandspiele too?
Yep.
Okay. But designed by Ryan Heilman and Dave Shaw. Yeah, I was going to say Ryan. This was Ryan's, and then I'm like, it's because somebody gave me tiny ass screenshots of all this stuff.
And you know, Ryan Heilman.
It's not like I've never seen a zombie movie, right? I enjoyed 28 Days Later, or whatever the first one was. And that was the first one. I thought that was good. I mean, I'll watch zombie movies.
But Dead Snow I thought it was pretty amazing too. I didn't even know there was a Dead Snow 2. I gotta watch that tonight.
I've never heard of any of that. I consider this a weird war game. Okay, now we got some actual war games here, folks. Yeah, because nobody's even tried to design anything like this since then. We have had some people try to tackle the topic of Vietnam, but man, there just isn't another high sim Vietnam game that covers this whole period of American involvement, right?
Well, would you consider
and its mechanics, I think, are fairly unusual too in a lot of ways.
Ardy, when you say high sim, would you consider Combat Commander a high sim game? Okay.
No. I would not. That's a tactical game anyway, though. You're talking about apples and coconuts at that point. So, oh yeah, that's true. Ginormo Pod is leaving Hollandspiele. So get it while you can, although don't be totally stunned if you see a new edition of it from Warfrat. So,
hey, Ardy, would you care to give me your opinion on why you don't think Combat Commander would be a consim?
I didn't say it wasn't a consim. I said a high sim. So a very simulationist game that simulates a lot of different factors and stuff like that. That's just not what Combat Commander is.
Okay.
So I'm not trying to make the case that it isn't a war game or anything like that.
No,
that's absurd.
That's not what I'm asking.
The plot to assassinate Hitler. I think this was a Dunnigan design too, but I didn't occur to me to look it up. This is a completely out of left field design if you think about it. The map, it's on a hex grid like everything else you'd expect to see from SPI. But the hex grid represents a political space rather than like a geographical space. So I think in the context of our show topic tonight, I think this is worth talking about. Maybe it's a war game, and maybe it is, and I'm not particularly invested in.
Well, it's as much as a war game as Versailles is.
Argument about that. Yeah, so I would love to actually do a survey to see if Versailles. I assume you're talking about Versailles 1919 from GMT, yes. which I've played. This I have not played, but Stuka Joe has video on it, and I've watched that. This is a really interesting game in terms of when it came out, how it was designed, how whoever designed it kind of decided to model this situation using basically war game mechanics. This uses war game mechanics, whether it's a war game or not. Not that, war games necessarily have a monopoly on those mechanics, but it's also the kind of mechanics we expect to see in war games. So
I just noticed that
I'm not sure I knew this. I'm probably going to get demonetized for showing this too, so let's get rid of that. And of course, Tito, which I think a lot of people had a really negative reaction. I mean, from me talking to people, a lot of people back in the day had a very negative reaction to this. This is S&T number 81, so it's not like very late SPI, but it's relatively late SPI. It's a point-to-point map, which I'm not sure how many SPI S&T games used a point-to-point map. This might have been the only one. That said, there are other point-to-point games that SPI did. Sword of the Stars is one of them, for example.
Hey, Mike Bertuccelli. Ciao.
And for that matter, Emperors of the Middle Ages is as well.
Hey, Ardy, what's going on with the censorship here? We can't even name the leader of the Nazi party?
This is I'm not in control of this, so it is what it is. I don't think I can, because we're on the show. I was half kidding about getting demonetized. But it is sometimes true that in chat comments, they will, like the robot will censor that stuff. I think there are multiple reasons for Tito's lack of prestige. And I think people, I would like to. I own this game. I'd like to actually play it. It doesn't look terribly complicated. I think it's about irregular warfare, right? So there's no like fronts or anything like that. Plus the point-to-point map. Plus the color palette is kind of weird.
This guy was pretty smart, as a tactician.
Yeah, it totally is, Perfidious Albion. Tito, yeah, I'd say so. Tito hung around for quite a while. And even managed to clap back at Stalin a couple of times. So, that's something.
We're not going to get censored because you said Stalin.
Hopefully not. I don't know. Whatever. All right, I'm taking this down. We'll put this back.
There's Avalon Hill's Amoeba Wars.
I remember that as a kid. I never played Amoeba Wars. I want to say that came from somebody else, but I might be thinking of Alpha Omega, which I think was a Battle Line release that later got redone by Avalon Hill.
Yeah, Chetnix was one of those small games, I think, Joe. Huh?
Well, we could be the Chitniks. That's our next show name, folks, the Chitniks. Hanging with the Chitniks.
Jesus. Where's the Lawrence Welk music?
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. Oh yeah, this is absolutely true. This is, well, by them taking it seriously, you know how they handled that. Just kill everybody. So
Jesus. Hey, is the Nuremberg movie out?
I think it might be. This is the one with Russell Crowe and Rami Malek.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Russell Crowe, and boy, he has porked the fuck out for this film. Apparently, it became a thing, and he has now lost a lot of that weight. So,
well, if they're going through the whole shebang, he was beastie when he came in.
Well, he's playing. Yeah, no kidding. He's playing Gehring. So, I mean, they're not gonna hire Rami Malek to play Herman Gehring, are they?
No.
So. Full Metal Planet. That sounds like it's got some possibilities, at least. So, I didn't see that. That looked bad, though, to be fair.
Joe Goering there, regardless of how long did he live after he got caught? What a life this guy lived.
Well, it was Gehring who killed himself in prison, correct?
Yeah, he took cyanide.
Right. Or was that Goebbels? No, that was a Goebbels. They shot themselves.
Long between capture and death? I mean, this guy had 20 years of La Bella Vita, man.
I don't know, but I would venture to say that all of this information is available to you on Wikipedia. So he missed that day's lunch. It's the only one. Yeah, maybe, but also John Goodman. I've seen John Goodman play scary and intimidating, though, and that actually does work. So yeah. I don't know. He is a really good actor. To be fair, I watched. Speaking of John Goodman, I watched like the first 2 episodes or something like that of Monarch: Legacy of Monsters. This ties into the new Godzilla movies, and it was okay, I guess. So there's that. That's on Apple TV.
Did anybody see Frankenstein? I want to know someone's opinion on Frankenstein.
He's talking about the new Robert Eggers Frankenstein, I would assume.
Robert Eggers.
Rather than the old one, the James Whale Frankenstein. So
I'm talking about Guillermo del Toro.
Oh, that's Guillermo del Toro? That's not Robert Eggers?
I don't know if Robert Eggers did a recent one. I have no idea.
Robert Eggers did the Nosferatu film that came out like last year, the year before, which I also haven't seen. That's on Netflix. I don't have Netflix right now. So
yeah, I have Netflix. I just don't want to invest 2.5 hours. I know I'm going to like it because the sets are supposed to be amazing, but 2.5 hours, man. I gotta prepare myself.
You know what you need to watch, Dan? Do you have
I need
Disney?
To watch, I need to watch. What's that period piece in Britain by the famous director? For God's sake,
who's in it?
Stanley Kubrick. What's the name of that movie?
Oh, Barry Lyndon.
I gotta watch that.
Oh, that's a fabulous movie. I don't know where that's streaming right now. And everybody in the chat who has seen Barry Lyndon will now pop up and say, you should watch Barry Lyndon. It's amazing. Yeah. And I believe this is still the case. Are you subscribed to Disney right now? Disney?
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
No. All right. Well, let me know when you subscribe to Disney. Oh, yeah. Doug's here with Barry Lyndon. It is a fabulous movie. The cinematography in that is absolutely stunning. The sets, if you really love sets, you'll love that. It
looks fantastic.
I'm not positive they built a single set for that. I think it's all like on location shooting.
But you know what? What Kubrick film isn't really fantastic? Even the latest ones there.
There are 2 I haven't seen. The Killer, one of which is an absolutely absurd omission. I've never gotten around to it. Paths of Glory, right? I've never seen that.
Wicked, savage.
And one of the early movies, I think one of his early movies is about a boxer, and I haven't seen that either. The Killers, perhaps. Ideally on the big screen, but good luck with that at this point. So yeah, no kidding. He like borrowed the lenses from NASA so he could film in like really super duper low light conditions. Actually, I take it back. I haven't seen this either. I find this topic distasteful and I don't want to watch it. It is a Stanley Kubrick film. I'm positive it's well done, but I'm good. Is that a war movie? Yeah. Hey, why not? Because I've heard a lot of war gamers quote the movie. That's for sure.
Isn't Lolita James Mason?
Yeah. James Mason plays Humbert in the film.
God, what a creepy name.
So this is the one with Klaus Kinski, by the way, Dan, just so you know.
Okay.
Which I have seen. Frankly, I think the original F.W. Murnau Nosferatu impressed me a little more than the 1979 Klaus Kinski one.
What, the
So, yeah, we've all, I mean, I'm going to just assume that everybody here tonight has watched Full Metal Jacket. So...
Incredible.
So, Cardboard Commander, thanks for stopping by. What time is it? Yeah, we got a few minutes yet. So, yeah, Full Metal Jacket's problem, if it has a problem, is that thanks in large part to Arlie Ermy, that it's a 3-act film, right? You've got the first part in the boot camp. You got the second part where Joker is like traveling around Vietnam and getting the assignments and taking the pictures and all that. And then you got the third part with the sniper. Okay, so those are the 3 acts. The problem with the film is that, and I'm not sure this is a criticism, but it is a fact about the film that I think made a lot of people not like it as much as they might otherwise have done, is that the first third of the movie, the boot camp part, is so strong, in part thanks to Arlie Ermy's just astonishing performance, that the rest of the movie kind of can fall flat in comparison.
Well, then don't you know
I'm
what?
not actually sure that it's not necessarily that the first third of the movie is the best third of the movie in a lot of ways, but it is so impactful that you're like, yeah, okay, I've seen the movie now. You're a third of the way in, and he's walking around Vietnam with the peace symbol on his helmet, and you're like, you don't care anymore because the really super engaging part of the movie already happened.
The sniper scenario is something too, though.
Yeah, Shadow of the Vampire is pretty good. This is the one with Willem Dafoe as the vampire, which is about the making of Nosferatu, technically, but the movie, but very cleverly, I think, leaves it kind of an open question as to whether the dude that they hired, Max Schreck, was in fact Nosferatu. So, which is kind of cool. Yeah, this is true too. Vincent D'Onofrio gets a huge amount of credit for that first part too.
Hold on, Boomerman Dan Webb, did you happen to notice the music while you were watching that movie? Was the music a part of that movie?
Okay, I have not seen this. It might be the black and white movie that Joe's asking about. Most film critics, I don't know about most, but I mean, I'm sure there are some that do feel that way.
Really?
Yeah. Gandalf, in the movie, Gandalf had a clay pipe, which that's a briar pipe.
There's a briar pipe, and it's an Honoré de Balzac.
I don't know what that means, but it's French, and therefore it was expensive.
He was.
Apocalypse Now is a fabulous movie. I'm not sure it's a great. I'm not sure it's a great war movie, but it's a fantastic movie.
You know, Ardy, I was what, 14, 15 years old when that movie came out. I went to the theaters and I dropped a hit of purple microdot. I swear to God, a hit of acid. I did.
Okay, I was about to ask you what is that? I have no idea what that is.
And I swear to God, what an evening.
Because I am a square, so and I'm okay with that. Yeah, maybe I don't know. That's not quite a church warden. It doesn't look like. Dan, you could correct me on this if you want.
Yeah, it would be almost a church warden.
It's very similar to a church warden. So, The Hill with Sean Connery. I'm not sure I've seen that. Certainly Sean Connery's in A Bridge Too Far, which is one of my favorite movies of any kind, and probably my favorite war movie.
There's something about that movie that doesn't make it my favorite war movie, man. I prefer Patton.
Patton's a terrific movie. I don't know. I do think that there's a certain sort of old Hollywood aspect to A Bridge Too Far that isn't necessarily there in Patton. I'm not sure, is Patton a
Hey, la donna mobile con something, something, something and something. There goes my hair.
Anyway, new browser next week, folks. I don't know what it'll be, but it ain't gonna be this one. Firefox is holding up very well for other things, but for StreamYard, it seems to not be playing particularly nice.
And by the way, Stuka Joe, that was dedicated to you from my heart.
So he's leaving now. Thanks, Dan. Oh, I remember this. Yeah, I have actually seen this. This, but I saw it when I was like 12 or 13 or something like that. I was impressed by this film, and I would actually like to see it again, considering that I haven't seen it since I was at most 14.
Was this after?
No, way before. This is like very early 80s, maybe even late 70s, something like that. Yes, this is true too. There's British guys, American guys, Dutch guys, Laurence Olivier, who's the Dutch guy in the movie, but it's Laurence Olivier, so nobody noticed. Germans, all that stuff. So it's a great movie. It has a great, amazing international cast.
Yes, and you know what I didn't like about it is that they put the Polacks as fodder, cannon fodder.
I mean, that is kind of true.
I don't like that.
I'm not sure whether it was Boy Browning or Monty who tried to stick the blame for the final failure of the campaign on the Poles, but that was bullshit.
Monty,
so,
you know what I mean?
If the Poles got a raw deal, and Mark, maybe other than the dudes who went up to Arnhem and got captured and had to sit in a prison camp, the Poles got the stiff the baddest in Market Garden in terms of their reputation. Monty certainly wasn't asked to resign or anything like that. So yeah, we run this at what's one of the movies playing in the background at Origins at Winterfest every single year.
Why don't they play Patton?
Oh, they do Patton too. We got a whole week. You can watch 8 movies a day. So yeah, Gene Hackman. If I have a complaint about it, it is the just dreadful accent that Gene Hackman has in that film.
Yeah, okay, but he's right.
Sure. Oh, he was right about everything. But I mean, right. the character is an interesting dude. Actually, he did not command again, at least at this level. And after the war, he settled in Britain and was like a factory worker or something like that. So he dies. I don't know when that happened. So Sobosowski, he dies, and a bunch of his work, because he never talked about this to the people at work. So all these people from the textile factory or whatever it was show up at the funeral, and there's all these generals and dignitaries there. And they're like, hey, what's going on? Which is kind of awesome for him. He deserved better.
Molotov. I can't read that. I don't know why. So, Polacks is a.
Yeah, we're not using that word anymore, Dan. Let's not.
Really? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
we're not using that word.
Because I love Polish.
If you're Polish, I'll give you an exemption, but otherwise, let's please not.
I have a lot of Polish friends, man.
I grew up in Cleveland. I know a lot of freaking Polish people. So Polish, Slovakian, Slovenian, Croat, lot of people from that part of Europe.
Thank you for mentioning that.
Bill is right. I let it slip. I should have jumped on Dan immediately. Yeah, I even have an actual clip to deal with this.
Hey.
So, the Beast. Yeah, I remember that. You know what threw this off for me though is some people did try to make this case that Gavin did. I'm not buying that personally. He was a very young. Ryan O'Neal plays Gavin in the movie. Okay, and people complained that not any of us, of course, complained that he looks too young to be a general. But the fact is that Ryan O'Neal was like as old or older at the time than Gavin was at the time. So, what threw me on The Beast was that it's an American movie, so it's like just guys speaking in American accents, and I felt like that was
is this
weird.
a war movie?
Yeah, it's about the Soviets in Afghanistan.
Oh.
So, well, I mean, I'm not saying that Polish air troopers were airborne were not very enthusiastic, let's say. But, you know, I'm not blaming them at all, right? Their country, of all the countries in World War II, with the possible exception of Germany, got fucked the worst.
Oh, my God. Well,
yes, the possible exception of Germany. I mean, even the Chinese didn't, I don't think they had it as bad as the Poles did in terms of number of population.
Nanking, man.
So, well, yeah, there was a lot of bad stuff that happened in that conflict. But at least there was a huge part of China where they weren't fighting over it, right? That was not the case with Poland, and not really the case with much of Germany either. So this is, I think this is actually accurate, but I'm not even going to highlight that, Mike. Sorry.
Okay, Mike, thank you. I learned, man.
There is a game on this, I think. There is actually an ASL scenario that's set during the Warsaw Uprising, too. There might be more than one. There's at least one that I'm aware of. So, all right, folks, we are just about out of time before Dan gets me in more trouble tonight. We are going to sign on. So I have had an event-filled and partially trying weekend. So has Dan. So everybody send Dan best wishes.
You know what, Ardy? We could continue part 2 because there's way more games.
Well, let me pick the games for part 2, okay? All right, because I'll actually find at least mostly war games, and you didn't. So you got a few. It's all good. All right, folks, we are going to sign out here. Everybody have a great rest of the night. We will be back next Sunday night. Tune in to the Counter Clipping Show tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. We got snow today, by the way. Did I mention that? Apparently not. Dan's waiting for me to hit the button. I'm hitting the button. Folks,